டாக்டர் ஞானமணன் அவர்களை திரு அம்பா பழனியப்பன் அவர்களை கௌரவம் செய்வதற்காக அழைக்கிறோம்.
குட் மார்னிங். எல்லாரும் தமிழில் அழகாக பேசுனாங்க. எனக்கு அந்த அளவுக்கு தமிழ் வரும், ஆனால் வந்து ஃப்ளூயண்ட்டாக வராது. அதை மிக்ஸ் பண்ணி ஓரளவுக்கு பேசுகிறேன். I think Gnanamanan and Mr. Ramsa Menon have been, I think, following up very diligently to see that I confirmed to be here today. So thank you very much for giving me this forum. See, எனக்கு வந்து நான் க்ரௌடெல்லாம் வந்து பார்த்து பேசினதே கிடையாது. இட்ஸ் நாட் டூ மச். ஸோ இப்போ ஓரளவுக்கு பழகி போயிடுச்சு இப்போ. ஸோ ஐ எம் கோயிங் டு அட்ரெஸ் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் the parents sitting in the front, because all the youngsters seem to be taking the back bench at the back, most of them on the back, right? So I'm going to try and address the parents first. See, I blame the parents, including me, for making the children go into a cushion of not being an entrepreneur. So taking risk comes with a lot of responsibility. Risk எடுக்கற ரஸ் சாப்பிட்ற மாதிரி படத்தில் சொல்லுவாங்க. But there is a lot of risk. I think when Sinapanan is here, he will teach you more about the risk taking. But I think the parents are the people to blame. Whether the girl wants a very comfortable boy doing a IT job with a 1 lakh salary, or the boy must be well settled with a 1 lakh salary. I think the parents' upbringing. I think the first responsibility, I think, for the parents must be to allow the children to take risk. See, they cannot be in the comfort zone. With even 8 வயசு பிள்ளையா இருந்தா கூட they can't be in the comfort zone. They must be out of the comfort zone. The comfort zoneலேருந்து வெளியில வந்து நீங்க கடல்ல குதிக்கலாம், ஸ்விமிங் பூல்ல குதிக்கலாம், தொட்டியில குதிக்கலாம், எங்க வேணா குதிக்கலாம். But you have to allow them to explore. So I think my first complaint is on the parents, which I also take the blame. But fortunately, I've up to my grandchildren, I've been able to implement whatever I'm saying. But it's a very, very important responsibility the parents must take. If they want the children to be entrepreneurs, definitely they must give them a rope, give them a long rope, and allow the rope to fail. I think that's very important. கீழே விழுந்து அடிபட்டாதான் நம்ம மேலே வர முடியும். ஸோ அதனால் I definitely will blame the parents for that, right, first. And to all the youngsters, I think nothing much. I have a few, about 10 minutes is what I'll have, and then I'll leave the youngsters to ask questions, whatever they want to ask. Right. So the topic I think Mr. Ramsavanan gave to me was spotting the next big thing and how to identify and ride emerging business trends. The practical methods to detect market shifts early and position yourself ahead of the curve. This is the topic he has given me. Okay, it's already 4 lines of topic. And I'm not going to do justice to that, let me tell you that, right? See, I will just start with a quick question. See, how many of you have looked at a product or a company and thought, why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I spot that earlier? It can be anything. Swiggy. It's a very, very small idea which, then it has become such a big thing. It also has a negative, like Dunzo was bought by Reliance and they dumped it spending 1,650 crores, right? So that's different thing. So once you go big, all that is bound to happen. But you can look at so you have to always try to spot things early. We all had that moment, and more often than that, the difference between I thought of it and acted on it comes down to one thing: the timing at which you think of that idea. I think that's very important. I am fortunate enough to come from a family of business, but I was forced to enter business when I was not yet 18. right? So I've been in business for 41 years, so you know my age. Yeah, it's always been a business family of 3 generations, grandfather, father, all in business. So I've not had the opportunity of exploring what a non-entrepreneur is going to be, but I had the unfortunate situation when I lost my father when I was not 18, right? So I was forced to be into business before I turned 18. So that's how it is. So that's given me a lot of learning, and I would share whatever is today. And I've always tried to think differently. We were always in film finance, film distribution, film exhibition was our mainstay business. I started with that, and in '88, I decided that this is going nowhere. The most unethical, unscientific, and way of doing business at that time was the movie business. So I wrote off 25 lakhs of receivables. I said, I'm not going to spend even one more minute following up with them, asking them back for the money. It's a waste of my time. I junked that business totally. I closed my theater at that point of time, 1988, and then I entered real estate. Okay, and we have had a fortunate enough run thereafter. So, how did I identify the mall as a business? Because when I built the mall, I know most of you will know that the Skywalk and now the Sky One is there. How I identified that as a business, right? See, I always like to travel. I've visited more than 80 to 100 countries. But from there, this organized retail always attracted me. You always went to shop in something fancy outside the country, right? So I came back and I studied. This was in one of my trips. I came back and we started looking at this opportunity, looking at organized retail. The only mall that Chennai had that time was Spencer Plaza. We all know that's not a mall, but it's a shopping complex. But that was the mall which we had. There was the mall entrance used to be a big board, and Spencer Plaza still exists. The board still exists, right? So getting into organized retail, where you differentiate 9 different categories of businesses and try and have each category some stores to come. The whole idea was to make the shopper come more often to your place. Otherwise, you'll get bored of it, right? So you come back to the same mall for some reason or the other. So that's how. So I was the early adopter of, I think, at least Chennai. There were malls like this in Bombay, Delhi, and Kolkata. I think Bangalore, the Forum was there that point of time. So Chennai, there was the first categorized mall. I think so. Identifying that opportunity of having something different came up. Now, you see, you talk of franchising, right? Now, see, franchising is a very, very good model. Okay? But you must know to use the franchising to your benefit. Now, recently we opened the AMPA Shishya School, which is a franchise of Shishya for a school in Chennai. Nobody thought of that earlier, right? So we did that, and see, knowing Shishya, it's the upper end segment of the education system. But the system is already very crowded, right? So when we thought of this idea, we said we have to tie up with somebody who is in the top end segment, and tied up with them, and we forced them to give us a franchise to, when I say force, is relationship force. There's nothing beyond that. So I think at this point of time, next year, we are already full for the admissions for next year itself, right? So you try and choose businesses and try and choose opportunities where you will be able to, make a difference and stand out of the of what you want to do. Now, for the latest addition, we are rebuilt our temple. I don't know, many of you will know that we have a temple on Nelson Manikam Road, which is built in 1972, about 50 odd years. So we again thought to make a difference, and we have now demolished that temple and rebuilt it with entirely foundation upwards in stone granite. Karangal, நம்ம சொல்ற மாதிரி கருங்கல் கோயில் I think there are a few in Chennai already. There are a few. You have the old temples all built in granite. So we kind of recreated that, and I will just hand over this invitation to Jnanamannan on behalf of all of you. So please do drop in whenever you can on the 24th evening to 28th evening. We have a function every morning and evening. Please do drop by and see the work we have done. It's a temple. It's a temple with Alela. So that's the way I think we'll try and make a difference. Jnanamannan, on behalf of please. All Sangams. Nalla, please. Thank you so much. So the idea of the Karungal temple came again. See, temple exists. There are so many temples all around. So we decided to make a difference. So we said that we'll build it in black stone. I think people who are crossing by will see the polishing going on. We look at it. The black color will come out only now in the next couple of days, right? So I'll go back into some serious topic, before I come back to what the last bench will like. See, trends don't start in boardrooms or headlines. They start at the edges, in niche communities among early adopters, in quiet shifts in behavior before the market and even notices. I'd like to add here, some of you may know that I'm a fitness, I will not say addict, fitness, I like to be fit, right? So one of my activities is my running. I do run. Some would have. So, when I run, it's mostly you run with friends, but still, though you will be running with friends, you will be not talking much when you're running, right? I think that gives me a lot of time to think my mind, and it gives me a lot of ideas and thoughts when I run. See, people say when you do yoga, when you do meditation, you will get a lot of things. I think that status is there when you run. So I think most of you, youngsters should take up running. I think that gives you a lot of time for your mind to your heart, right? It gives you a lot of time to yourself. And, I unfortunately reduced my running now because of some time constraints. Though I ran this morning also. So, but see, you'll have to keep that time to yourself, that 1 hour, that 5:30 to 6:30 in the morning. You will be able to, I think, definitely get at least some thought, some spark in your mind, which is going to help you take a decision to move in which direction you want to move in, right? It can be entrepreneurship, it can be service, it can be, whichever way. So, even when you take service, or employment, try to see if you can take something where you have a uptick on their business of the company, okay? Like there are some companies which give you stock options, right? So you can bet with your work and also make more from the stock. So if you look at the pays of all the CEOs of the US, Indian CEOs of the US companies, I think about 80% of the money, you say they're earning 100 million, will be the stock options and the growth of stock options. So, see, even if you're going to be working, look at not just working on a salary, look at working on a profit share, look at working on a thing. Keep that also in the mind in your growth stage, right? So the key is to knowing where to look and what patterns to pay attention to. It could be a sorry. It could be sorry. It could be a sudden spike in search interest, a new kind of product people are hacking together for, a shift in how younger consumers behave online, or even a or even a problem that keeps showing up but still doesn't have a solution. The next big thing usually looks small, strange, or even silly at first, but to the trained eye, it's a signal and not a noise. In today's rapidly evolving economy, the difference between industry leaders and laggards often comes down to the one thing: timing. being able to spot a trend before it becomes mainstream can give businesses and entrepreneurs a decisive edge forward. This article explores practical strategies to detect early market shifts and validate them and act quickly without gambling on hype. Okay, this is all the prepared part of the speech. I'm just going to only highlight a little bit of it. I'm not going to go too much of detail of it. I'm not a tech guy. I am not a professor or anything like that. I don't know much about all of the topic which Mr. Ramsamy gave me, but still I'll do a little bit of justice to that. Right. So the tech and startup ecosystem is something which you have to follow. Follow the early stage startup platforms, study accelerator programs, Y Combinator, Techstars to see which ideas are getting funded. Then look at niche online communities like Reddit, Hacker, Indie Hacker, Substack, etc. Then look at patent filings and academic research. These are the areas where you can search for such opportunities to come. That's what I'm just trying to put across. You check for the Google patents, research portals, Google Scholars, etc. And where you can get some cutting-edge technology that hasn't hit the mainstream and that hits your mind also. Look at consumer behavior indicators, monitor search trends, track social media platforms, check what Gen Z is adopting. They are early indicators of consumer shifts. All of you like your phone, right? But try and use the phone, to do something which will help you become an entrepreneur, right? That's what I'm just trying to put across. Right? So, NFC, near field technology or near field communication is you tap your card, right? So that's it. So that was again a small startup by a gentleman from Chennai. You all would know Mr. Arjunamurthy, who was touted to be Rajinikanth's choice for the chief minister at one point of time when he wanted to enter politics. He is now with the BJP, but his was a startup of NFC, near field communication, where he did that touch thing, but I think about 2014, if I'm not too wrong, 2014. That was again a very good startup, which was valued at 100 million in 2014 by American Express. They gave them an open offer to buy them out at $100 million in 2014, which he refused to do that. That's a different story, right? But see, identifying technology early is something which you are using. Next, use trend spotting frameworks. It's too technical. Leave me out of that. But validate before you jump. It's very, very important. Look for signals of momentum. Are competitors entering the space? Is usage increasing over time? Talk to customers and early users. Use interviews, surveys, and community engagement to understand how real people are responding to the trend. Main important, remember this, build a minimum viable test. You have to test out, like you do test marketing of your product. You have to have some tests which you have to follow, right? So try and follow something and do a small dip, you call a dipstick test, right? So do a dipstick test to try and find out where you are. Position yourself ahead of the curve is the next thought process. Claim a niche area. So educate your audience, start blogging, podcasting, or posting content that builds authority on the subject. Build strategic partnerships with others in space and co-create, co-market, or build joint ventures before the space becomes crowded. That's why I just told you earlier how I look at my franchising for using this as a support, right? The tools to stay ahead is whatever you know, all of you, most of you know in the youngsters, Google Trends, Trend Hunter, no-code platforms, AI tools, ChatGPT, all of that, right? Before I come to my conclusion, some areas of business opportunities which I think will work over the next decade, right? I will start with the most least interesting opportunity to all of you. Smart agriculture. So how much of you would like to be a farmer here? Yeah. I see only the front rows, the back rows must come, right? The question is, farming is today a very profitable business which people have to understand and get into. Integrated farming, you can call it, organic farming, all of it is different types of it, but basically smart agriculture. You have to use drones for your spraying. You have to use your smart irrigation systems for, drip irrigation. Use so many apps available. And let me tell you, this is one of my areas I'm going to go next. I'm giving it to you ahead, right? And I don't know much about it. I'm going to learn into that, and that's where I will be spending some time as we go. That's an area which is economically viable to be a farmer. It's no more, charity to be a farmer. It's economically viable to be a farmer. Please look at that wherever, forgot to tell you one. See, I used my family asset to become a businessman, right? So using and exploiting and, using your own assets which you have, you may have, 10 acres, 20 acres, 100 acres somewhere in Arandangi, for example, right? So wherever it is, right, you should use that, because your investment without your land means your startup cost is very, very less. Your risk is very, very less. All of that is, I think, when you assess your entire risk capability, it's going to be extremely easy to use your existing assets and use that as a business idea to grow initially. That's what I did. That's where I am today. That's very, very important. So as I said, I'll start with the most, uninteresting one, agriculture, right? I'll leave it to questions later. Whatever you want to ask, please ask me questions on that, right? See, now, after the Operation Sindoor, defense production and export, I think, is a very, very great area for the startups to come in. I think no more we're going to see increase in the army sizes of various countries. We are going to see increase in drones of various countries. The army is not going to cross the border and go anywhere. I think from now on, over the next 10 years, you will not see the army going to fight for a war outside their borders, right? So drone warfare is the order of the day. A lot of social media posts have been out on that, but that's a business to be in. The niche area you can look at, right? The next area is very, very normal. Food processing. I think I'm part of the SICI, the Southern Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I'm a vice president on that, so I have exposure to a lot of the committees which we work on. The one such committee which we had a discussion was the food processing committee. And the information which I got on that was, there are only 24,000 companies in India in food processing which are in the organized sector. And there are 24 lakh companies in the unorganized sector in food processing. And still 12% of our vegetable and food output from the various farms is wasted in the dustbin, right? So this is the opportunity available. So getting into food processing can be anything. I think from the Chettinad cuisine, we have a lot of, inputs which all of us can take. There are quite a few startups in the Chettinad food business, but still, as a food processing industry as such, again, but please go to the organized sector. Try to build a volume to the organized sector if you want to go to exports. Because the exports of food processing will again be a major, major player as we go. Because, see, as a market, Indian market is very, very big, 140, 150 crore people. So you have your food growing, food industry going all through. But there's also a niche export market which you can get on food processing, right? And, everybody knows the two words AI, but I'm using the word AI to online learning, right? So how much you can, use AI to online learning and, and extrapolate from there is left to imagination. I hear from some sources that, till the 8th standard, we're going to not have children in schools at some point of time, right? They're going to be only AI online classes, where the tutor will be on a system, be much more intelligent than the teacher who is teaching you, right? So that's what it's going forward to. That's an area again which you have, as you then I come to the core areas of any economy, roti, kapada or makan. Okay, all of you learn Hindi, okay? So Hindi is a must these days. So roti, kapada or makan, I think Palaniappan and I will understand why Hindi is very important, right? Right? So roti, kapada or makan is something, again, the basics of living of any, see, the 140, 150 crores, at least 30 to 40% still are in that roti, kapada or makan stage. So you have still a lot of opportunity to exploit the roti, kapada or makan industry itself. When I say, okay, for those who don't understand, roti is your food, kapada is your clothes, makan is your house, right? So these three industries as such are, are going to be big, and they're going to be strong for a long time to come, because the 30 to 40% of population below, wherever in the bottom line of the pyramid of the country is going to need this for at least donkey's years. So that's an area where, and one more area which everybody will be using their phones for is the social media space. A lot of it can be done there in the social media, which can be made financially productive, right? I leave it at that, because I'm very poor at social media, so I leave it at that. Yeah. Again, one more area which not many people think of is privacy protection. I think that's something which is going to come, again, a lot of, you see, your phone, whatever you talk to, your phone listens, and next day morning you will get a message from, from Facebook that will push a message for you on that. You talk about, AirCard, tomorrow morning AirCard rooms will be shown on your phone. So your privacy protection is going to be a major area. Again, I do not know about tech, but I'm saying that's an area which is available for people to exploit and, take it up. So one thing, the front rows would like to, understand and appreciate is senior citizen living and senior citizen care. I think the biggest problem, already Japan is facing the problem today. They are not able to handle their old age. The people above 100 in Japan is, I think, they are the highest there. They live very long life. They have a very good lifestyle, so they live longer, right? So if you have a good lifestyle, you're going to live longer. If you run, you have a good lifestyle, so you will live longer. Don't worry about that, right? So, so senior citizen living and senior citizen care, again, you can split it into housing for senior citizens. You can look at care for senior citizens. You can look at, geri care, senior care. So there are so many sub-segments in that which you can look at, again, as startups. And yes, youngsters, you all have the energy to run and, take care of senior people. So use that as an opportunity, which is, again, a great opportunity. And last but not the least, my favorite is travel and tourism. I think India's travel and tourism industry is the least exploited business opportunity ever. I've seen the world reasonably. I may not be saying, but I can tell you for sure, anything available outside this country is available in India. There's not even one part, and there is much more. The culture, the history, the art, the architecture. I think the unbelievable amount of thing is there. See, I've been to Kashmir when there was a problem, and I've taken this, the snow slide for 14 kilometers from the heights of Pahalgam to my hotel, direct, which is not possible anywhere in the world. It can be done in India. It's in India. Right? So the potential of tourism and travel and related businesses, because I know a few of our people in our community are in the travel business. I think the related businesses are huge. See, hotel is one end of the segment which I'm now in, but the point is very, very clear that this is an industry for you to be in. So my future focus is going to be in the travel tourism industry and agriculture. These are two areas which I will recommend to a lot of people. I think I've taken too much of your time, so I'll just conclude by a few. So the trend starts small, the future shows up quietly, but those who learn to recognize the signals and act early build the biggest advantages. A challenge which I leave for you today. So as you leave today, Ask yourself, what's one small signal you've been ignoring that might just be the next big thing? Spotting and riding emerging trends aren't about guessing the future. It's about developing the discipline to notice small signals, validate intelligently, and act before the masses catch on. The next big wave is already forming somewhere. Will you catch it or watch it pass you by? Finally, the future doesn't belong to the biggest or the strongest. It belongs to those who see it coming first. Thank you all.
விவசாயம் முதல் ஆர்மி ஆர்டர்கள் வரை, பூமி முதல் வானம் வரை தொழில் இருக்க நாம் ஏன் மாத சம்பள வேலைக்கு செல்ல வேண்டும் என்று சிறப்பாக விளக்கினீர்கள் அண்ணன். தங்களின் தொழில் அனுபவத்தை எங்களோடு பகிர்ந்து எங்களை தொழில் செய்ய ஊக்கப்படுத்தி பல புதிய தொழில்களின் விளக்கங்களை சொன்னதற்கும், ஓடி ஓடி உடலையும் மனதையும் வளப்படுத்தி தொழிலையும் சிறப்பாக செய்யும்படி சொன்னதற்காகவும் NBCயின் சார்பாகவும் திருவொற்றியூர் நாட்டார் சங்கத்தின் சார்பாகவும் மனமார்ந்த நன்றியை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறோம் அண்ணன்.